There I am. Hello. Hello, everybody. It's me, Mr. Break, Brian. I'm here enjoying. I need to pause that. No, I need to pause it. Um, Sorry, I was just looking some stuff up. So, apologies if you came here tonight looking for the interview from Blumira. I'm gonna own that I screwed it up, and by the time I realized that the email was being sent, "Hey, are we doing this?" the person had already replied to and said, "Hey, we probably should reschedule." So I am exceedingly sorry for looking for an interview tonight from Blumira on threat detection, but I'm gonna mea culpa on that. That's my bad. I should have sent out an email. No excuse. We're going to do that next Sunday. I've firmed up everything. So the interview we'll be doing with Bill and Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, and hopefully will be next weekend. So um, with that in mind, I do want to say that today's episode of Breaking of our podcast and stream, I'm just going to say that. I don't want to say the other word because I may not be doing a ton of security stuff tonight, but just want to mention it. But it's brought to you by Blumira, which provides easy to use SIM and XDR, which is that can be set up in minutes. Teams of all sizes can resolve security threats faster with detection rules written by BreakSec's own Amanda Berlin, Miss Berlin. And you can learn more at blumira.com/break. So there you go. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it. Okay. So there's that. There's that link. Um, so I've been playing around with a bunch of stuff, and not security related in any way, shape, or form. But I came home on Thursday. Those of you who joined me on Friday know what I was doing, but I've embraced a lot of IoT in the last week, and interesting. Okay. Yeah, a lot of IoT and some new stuff that I didn't know existed. So, one of the new things in our new house I have is something called an Orbi from from Netgear, because one I wanted. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so um, Orbi Netgear. So I wanted one of these Orbi things, and unfortunately, I thought, oh, come on, you son of a bitch. There we go. Let's do that one there. So the one thing, I want the quad band. Thank you very much. Orbi quad band. There we go. I have this one, I think, right here. Yeah, yeah, I got that one. So, the first thing I'll tell you is they're not small. Okay, I don't know why I do this, but I watch things or I look at things long enough, and I assume that they're in a container about yay big. You know. Um, Also, I assume that things like platypuses are super huge because I only saw them on nature shows, and they're really zoomed in. So it's like, oh, look how big my speaker is, when in fact it's like this tiny. And so I looked at these and I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. Let me get a one pack of these things, and because I only have a 2,000 square foot house, so this is supposed to supply 3,000 square feet, so I'm good, right? I get this thing. It's like, I'm seeing it from back here where it's like, oh, it's really tiny, whatever. It's just like, like this, and it's ginormous. And I didn't. So one of the things that I should be looking at more often is things like dimensions. So it is ginormous. I would say it's about as, yeah, I would say it's about that big. I'd say it's about that big. It's about wide, yay wide, um, but it's not small. And the problem is, because of the way our house is set up, it creates some challenges because it's just sitting in the guest bedroom floor. And I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do now? I mean, I wanted the thing that appealed to me is the 10 gig stuff, because It has a 10 gig port, it has a 2.5 gig port, and it's got a bunch of gig speed ports. And I wanted to, have that ability because it's kind of future proof. More future proof than it would be if I bought some gig speed, BS with only the 1 gig Ethernets. When we get fiber in our neighborhood, I do want to upgrade, and 5 gig, fiber to the house would be super nice, and I would need to buy a brand new um, port for that. So I got one that does 10 gigs, and I'm nice and solid. So, but yeah, I also didn't buy a modem this time because it doesn't save me any money, and Spectrum would give me one that I knew would actually work. So I didn't. I did actually buy the Nighthawk that I was planning on getting because they give it to you for free, and all of them are vulnerable anyway. So it's not like I'm buying this Netgear Nighthawk is going to be that much more secure. I can't patch it easily, right? So, yeah, they're all garbage anyway. So I wasn't overly worried about that. But one of the things that I started using at our new place, which we'd never done before, is we're going to go to YouTube TV, mainly because of Sunday NFL Sunday Ticket, and one one of the channels that I've just gotten super addicted to is poker. Watching poker. I do not know why. I I love playing poker. Not in Vegas, but I when we lived up here in Seattle, when we were in Seattle with some friends of ours who have since moved away, we had a monthly poker game we would do, and it was, very much like this, where you'd have chips and there was a board, and the sound effects were actually the announcers on the Poker Go website who was like, about blinds are going up and that kind of thing. And I don't know why, but I love watching poker. Um, what I did find out was that I believe Discord has a channel kind of game thing where you can play games of chance or that. I don't want to go look at it now, but yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, I've just been super like all in on poker recently. So yeah, I don't know why that is. I'm gonna the one thing the other thing I like about Poker Go, no, YouTube TV is the unlimited DVR. And so where I'm hoping that I can win my wife over on that, because we've had direct TV for freaking ever, and I told her it would be better. We'll see how it goes. So how's everybody doing this evening? I have one viewer. Hello, viewer. How are you? If you're here, how you doing? Let's see. I'm gonna bring back up. Oh, I have two terrific viewers. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, here you go. So IT Wire. Interesting. So this is a story about why XDR matters for effective business security. Well, there you go. As if our own Blumera does an XDR system called, and for those of you who don't know, XDR is Extended Detection and Response. There you go. So it's a vendor specific tool that can be used to create a security operations platform. So SIM and XDR is what Blumera uses, and so these XDRs use a combination of tools or tooling, and hopefully next week we'll be able to talk with some of the Blumera folks about that. So, so they say provides support to security teams in 3 ways. It takes data aggregation from multiple points and combines it to provide context. So there you go. You get the XDR and SIM bits. So it's going to take all of your data points together and kind of mesh them together into, I don't want to call it a single pane or a dashboard, because I'm not a fan of those kinds of things. But those are one or two things that you can do. Then monitors for threats by examining alerts and critical ones to the team. Okay, so uh, not only is it taking all these data points together, but it's, you take a Windows error code and a log file from a different server, and you'd be like, well, I'm seeing these kinds of things on the network, collate them together, and it means either a good thing or a bad thing, or, it doesn't have to be threat actors. It could be just, issues with a web app or something like that. Like you've got some kind of internal system, constantly pinging an API endpoint. It was like, why are you doing that? So you can help it also look for things like, diagnostics in your network, things that shouldn't be happening, that aren't malicious necessarily. Help you find things like, oh, the team needs to ping this site every minute. You're like, nobody needs to ping a site every minute. The packages on that site won't update that quickly unless there's a temporal reason for that to happen. And in that case, you need to do something other than pinging an API every minute or every 30 seconds or what have you. There needs to be a better way set up so that you're not hammering on an API, especially if it's an API that other people are going to use, because that additional load could cause you some issues. Number 3, the platform can provide automated responses. Okay, so the next DR, you have monitoring, you have aggregation of your data into a more pleasing format for your people, and also you have responses. It'll spit out something that says, hey, I'm noticing this, I'm seeing congestion here, I'm seeing, error messages indicative of blah, that kind of thing. So I do want to ask some questions from Bill and Ms. Berlin next week about that. So we will. Here's I already put the I2Wire up on there. Let's see. Interesting that just popped up, because as you can see, I just clicked on it, so it was brand new. NSA has guidance on protection against software memory issues. Interesting. Oh, I know. Okay, so I'm sorry to ramble. Sorry to go back, but okay. So the Orbi, the reason I was thinking about the Orbi thing is, I don't know if Netgear is trying to do this on purpose, but I'm getting alerts every time a device joins my network there, and it says, so here's the Orbi app, and it tells me that I have a new Ring device hooked up onto the network. And first thing they do, they try to sell me Bitdefender Armor thing, and it sounds like that they have specific updates for some devices that may not necessarily get an update. I really want to talk to the Bitdefender folks about that. I would, if anybody who works for Bitdefender or what have you, they so okay, where is it? Security. There we go. So it does a scan of the thing once it comes on the network. So when I hooked my TV up, for instance, that's not it. There it is. When I hooked up my TV to the network, it said, you've got 14 devices, 148 vulnerabilities. And I was like, well, okay. So I see an iPhone SE, I see my Surface, I see my wife's phone, my phone, this phone here, a Pixel 7, which is my daughter's phone, our garage door, which is one of the IoT devices that I had to connect to because, hey, I need to be able to open the garage and allow people to put things in my house while I'm not there. Thermostat, so the Nest thermostat, and see, I've got 2 Ring doorbells now, and I don't know why or how that is because I don't have 2 Ring doorbells, but I do have a couple of Ring cameras. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, and then a couple laptops. This thing will scan a device when it connects to your network. And I don't know, the one thing I do want to do when we get down there is test out what that means. If it's like, hey, I'm running Nmap on all, I'm scanning all the ports on the brand new device and I want to see what's open and running on it. But it tells you vulnerabilities about the device. And the message I got was, oh, there's a new Ring device on your network, which I'm like, everything's password protected, WPA3, which is good against DAuth attacks, I found out. And so I have 0 vulnerabilities on 13 of 14 devices, except for my TV. The LG TV has 148 vulnerabilities, supposedly. Device memory overload vulnerability, miscellaneous. It says miscellaneous vulnerability, and that's 95 of the 148. It says this vulnerability is one of several less common types found by Armor. You're protected and don't need to do anything. It can't tell me what those vulnerabilities are, but rest assured, you're protected. I'm like, am I? Am I really? Device lockout vulnerability detected. This vulnerability might allow your device or services it offers to be temporarily or indefinitely unresponsive. And then, so spelling is bad too. They spelled indefinitely, INDEFINABLY, indefinitely unresponsive. We recommend you check for an available Armor security update and see if you're running the latest manufacturer's software update. Let's close that. Orbi Armor security updates. Yeah, see, powered by Bitdefender. By the way, this is not an advertisement for Orbi by any way, shape, or form. Buy what you want. I'm just interested in understanding the system here, and it does scans, legitimate scans against the devices on the network. I don't want to click that because it feels like, oh, I'm gonna synergize all the paradigms and shit. Apparently, I have a moderate issue. It says major improvements are necessary to increase network security. Okay, I don't know how much of this is FUD, in many cases. And none of the problem is with the wireless access point, by the way. It's all having to do with this one TV thing. So, install Bitdefender to keep your laptop, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just a free trial. They're trying to give me 60% off. I mean, they're almost literally giving it away. But yeah, I'm interested in understanding how it was able to scan my TV and find vulnerabilities. It can't be. Well, could be. But it's interesting. They don't give you any more information other than oh, this vulnerability might cause an error on your device when there's more data fed into a buffer than it can handle. It says available Armor security updates. Security updates for LG TVs. See, I'm not the only one. So I've been getting multiple security warnings about my LG C2. It's connected by an Ethernet cable. Armor's software is up to date, as is the firmware on the TV. Just downloaded the lens. Seems to resolve the issue. It's more likely it picked up a vulnerability. Just be experienced user. Okay. It doesn't mean it has vulnerabilities. Many times they've discovered it and it takes a while to get patched. Yeah. Yeah, see, is it one vulnerability showing up 83 times or 83 separate ones? Most likely the former, unless your LG is really old. Yeah, I don't know if they're actually... It would be kind of cool if they're creating vendor updates for things that are known vulnerabilities they themselves are fixing, which, is not unheard of. There are companies out there that are, their whole thing is, hey, we still support Windows 2000 or we support Windows XP, and here's how we do it, and supplying security for older OSs. But yeah, it's just a little odd to see something like that come up. Yeah, and I don't know what it's about, but yeah, I'm just trying to understand what that looks like. The embracing of the IoT stuff is kind of troubling for me because I'm just jumping headlong into it. I haven't even set up the smart things on the oven and the air vent above the oven. Those are the only two parts that I have yet to set up, but I have the garage door opener, the Nest thermometer, several Ring devices. One of which I installed. I installed two of them because we want to know if somebody's in our house while there's stuff in there and we're not there. If you know where I live, don't go into my house or whatever. So, protection against software memory safety issues. Interesting. From the NSA press release, open a new link. The National Security Agency published guidance today to help software developers and operators prevent and mitigate software memory safety issues. The software memory safety cybersecurity information sheet highlights how malicious actors can exploit poor memory management issues to access sensitive information, promulgate, that's a $1,000 word right there, unauthorized code execution, and cause other negative impacts. All right, so now I'm clicking on my second link. So it's a 7-page PDF, which you can follow along with me if you'd like. Modern society relies heavily on software-based automation, implicitly trusting developers to write software that operates in the expected way and cannot be compromised for malicious purposes. While developers often perform rigorous testing to prepare the logic in software for surprising conditions, exploitable software vulnerabilities are still frequently based on memory issues. Examples include overflowing a memory buffer and leveraging issues with how software allocates and deallocates memory. Microsoft revealed at a conference in 2019 that from 2006 to 2018, 70% of their vulnerabilities were due to memory safety issues. Google also found similar percentage of memory safety vulnerabilities over several years in Chrome. Malicious cyber actors can exploit these vulnerabilities for remote code execution or other adverse effects, which can often compromise a device and be the first step in large-scale network intrusions. Interesting. I'm working on my voiceover work there, so just trying to be, the voice of intelligence and stuff. So let me see. Memory safety is a broad category of issues related to how a program manages memory, right? One common issue is called the buffer overflow. Yeah, so they're pretty much getting back to a left one here, talking about how memory gets overflowed. Other common issues relate to memory allocation. Languages can allocate new memory locations as a program is executed and then deallocate the memory, called releasing or freeing the memory later when the memory is no longer needed. So I want to, whether or not you agree with the background here, these are the kind of papers I like to keep in my cache of stuff, because I could borrow these words, right? As long as I give proper citation or what have you. But they explain it well enough. I mean, the idea is they're trying to explain this in a way that some of us security people cannot do. Just protect all the things, protect your memory. Well, how do I do that? What you just got to protect against buffer overflow. Just, by the way, developers like, what buffer overflow? Oh yeah, that's not a problem. What's it? Tell me what's the issue with the buffer overflows. So or you may have a development manager that can't spell buffer overflow, and you have to explain what a buffer overflow is. They're writing these documents like you're 5 years old. So the idea is you get this background. Somebody else has helped you write the training or the thing that you need to help get you over that hump, to help you explain in more simpler terms than maybe some of us can do. Writing is not my strong suit, so I like to find smarter people who explain stuff for me. It's one reason I also rail against some of the writing that we do at work, because I think we do too much of it, and that we should be cribbing off the previous 7 pages or 7 papers that we wrote, because we've said it 7 times. There's no reason to have to write it again, which is why I tell people, look, copy paste is a thing. You should definitely copy paste. But it's good. So, I mean, it tells you, Gives you an easy way to explain what a buffer overflow is, what freeing available memory is or releasing it. Ugh, excuse me. Consequently, it says memory is not always freed when it's no longer needed, resulting in memory leak that could cause the program to eventually run out of available memory. Due to logic errors, programs that also attempt to use memory that has been freed or even free memory that has been freed or even free memory that has already been freed. So it's called a double free. In this case, so double free. There you go. Yeah, so double free, it leads to undefined behavior. It means that the program can behave completely arbitrarily and all bets are off about what happens next. It's certainly a bad thing to happen. So that's somebody had to be understanding. They're new to C+, and they don't understand what a double free is. As the title suggests, I'm new to C, not C+, and have a midterm coming up shortly. I'm revising from past papers currently, and a recurring theme is the double free problem. I understand that that is the process of calling free on the same memory location twice, but I have a couple questions. What is the result of a double free in C, and why is that a problem? So these are, questions, papers I like to keep, and when somebody asks me that question, it saves me a Google, but it also sometimes somebody can explain things a lot better than me. So I like to keep track of these items whenever possible. Oh, I totally did not pause my poker, so I do apologize if you all are hearing that in the stream. That would explain maybe why I've lost people. So hold on, wait a second. Okay. No. Oh, okay, good. I didn't have it. I don't have any audio coming from my browser, which is always good. Wow. So let's see. Memory safe languages. They suggest using a memory safe language. Examples of memory safe languages include C#, Go, Java. Seriously? Fucking Java? Okay. I guess if you actually can, code in Java properly, it's not a problem because Java's memory safe now. Ruby, Rust, and Swift. So there you go. There's the other ones. Even with memory safe languages, memory management is not entirely memory safe. Okay. Most memory languages, safe languages, recognize that software sometimes needs to perform unsafe memory management functions to accomplish certain tasks. As a result, classes or functions are available that are recognized as non-memory safe and allow the programmer to perform, potentially unsafe memory management tasks. I think I saw that in Go. Golang. There's some kind of syntax. Memory unsafe functions. Let's see. Unsafe package. Yeah, there you go. So they have a whole package dedicated to this. Unsafe contains operations that step around the type safety of Go programs. Packages that import unsafe may be non-portable and are not protected by Go 1's compatibility guidelines. So they have, looks like function, align of, offset of, size of, string, string data, arbitrary type, slice. Huh. These are all memory unsafe. Really? Slices are unsafe? Okay. Oh, okay. So some of these things got added in Go and later versions of Go, like slice data got added in Go 1.20, which is fairly recent. String data has been added to Go 1.20. String itself, function string, has also been included as part of Go 1.20. So interesting. Other ones, slice itself got added to Go 1.17. I wonder if that means that you have to add the unsafe. Maybe that's why some of the stuff didn't work when I was doing the learning the Go program stuff. Interesting. Okay. So let's see what else. Application security testing. Okay, great. Static analysis. Yeah. Tools. Yeah. That one's going to be expensive depending on where you work and what your license is for that. Covarities and the Fortifys of the world. Um, you know, is that Black Duck? Yeah, Black Duck software composition and analysis. Uh, know what's in your code. They're also doing dependency analysis, binary analysis, creating SBOMs. Let's see, anti-exploitation features. See, this is where it's like you have to convince the developers, or the developers are going to want to put in anti-exploitation features. Control flow guard will place restrictions on where code can be executed. ASLR and DEP, which are in Windows specifically, where people have figured out how to get around ASLR and DEP. It's not, yeah. They also acknowledge in the paper here that bypassing ASLR and DEP is not insurmountable to a malicious actor, but it makes developing an exploit much more difficult and lowers the odds of an exploit succeeding. When they say lowers the odds of exploits succeeding, it's like you got to go to that next level, right? It's what's a level, for me to do an exploit that bypasses ASLR and DEP is damn difficult, but I could run some thing off the internet and be a skid. Doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to work. But the anti-exploitation features, that's going to be an interesting sell. You know what? That was the other thing. And surf was wrong. Yeah. Something we'll talk about in a second. Something that came up that I read and I found interesting that he did not he did not go over. The path forward. Memory issues in software comprise a large portion of the exploitable vulnerabilities in existence. NSA advises organizations to consider making a strategic shift, not an operational one, a strategic one, not a tactical one, strategic shift from programming languages that provide little or no inherent memory protection, such as C or C++, to memory safe languages when possible. I think we've talked. Wait a minute, I thought I saw Rust in here earlier. Yeah, Rust. Okay. Large parts of the Windows kernel is now written in Rust because it's memory safe, which kind of fits with what was mentioned earlier here in the doc, where from 2006 to 2018, 70% of Microsoft's vulnerabilities were, where the fuck was that? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So at a 2019 conference, probably Blue Hat or something like that, from 2006 to 2018, 70% of the vulnerabilities were memory safety issues. So they're rewriting the whole kernel in Rust, which, if they even half-ass it, with no issues, no memory unsafe functions or what have you, they're going to reduce the number of vulnerabilities due to memory safety issues from, if let's say if they had 10,000 in 20 from 2006 to 2018, if they had 10,000 vulnerabilities, 70,000 of them were memory safety issues. If they even drop that by 20%, I mean that drops it down to what, 50,000? So 50,000, they'll still have 50,000 vulnerabilities, but they'll have 20% increase in security, which it'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers come out of that when they're finally done with all the Rust work. Let me see. Running a memory safe, application testing, anti-exploitation, the path forward, memory issues, some examples. See, they forgot to add Rust back here. Some examples of memory safe languages are C#, Go, Java, Ruby. They should have said Rust here, but they didn't. I don't know why they left it out this time. Memory safe languages provide differing degrees of memory usage protection, so available code hardening defenses such as compiler options, tool analysis, and operating system config should be used for their protections as well. Yeah. I think So I work with developers, and one of the things that I've been trying to understand is why they don't use compiler flags. Specifically things like, hey, check for warnings. Um, what was it, use strict? Python had things like use strict and what have you. Um, there are things you can do in the compiler, like in C. Was it this? Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Hello, Digital Warhead. You got the notification this time. Okay. Well, I'm only 40 minutes in, so I don't know when. I hope you didn't get the notification like right now, because I'm at this for about 40 minutes. C compiler flags. Thank you for resubscribing, Digital Warhead, for Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. C compiler flags and options. There we go. C++. Get this big sized. See, standard, verbosity. Yeah, see, turns on a lot of compiler warning flags. Address, comment, format, Boolean, compare, uninitialized, unknown, something called pragmas, unused values, etc., etc., etc. And I have a lot of developers that I don't think they use compiler flags. And I think it's because there's too many warnings. There's legitimate reasons, like if you're compiling code with a library that's coming from outside your organization or third-party code, the library could be looked at, whether it's probably a statically linked library. You may get warnings from that library, and or the way you have to use that library requires it to be memory unsafe. Don't ask me why. Third party's going to third party, right? And so there's a lot of things you can do by adding proper compile flags, and this is only one example for C and C++. If you're using the compiler MingGW, there's numerous different kinds of compilers out there that you can use. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, Stack Protector. I mean, if you don't have position, if your position independent executables are not position independent, that may be something you want to look at too. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do in C and C++ to increase the security of your code, because it's going to give you compilation errors. You're going to get errors in Coverity and Fortify and all of your fancy SAS and DAS tools. It's one of those things where you could have fixed it when the error codes came, or the errors came up, if you'd used the compilation flags. These SAS and DAS tools are probably going to look at your code and go, okay, here's a potential buffer overflow. Would the compile flags have caught that? Could you have gone back in and modified the code and fixed it, or made it more secure before you'd gone through the whole process of building? I don't know. But it's something to think about. It's something to ask your developers if you have questions from for your developers. Looks like they have some work cited here, which is great. Linux Foundation, NSA, Windows 10 for enterprise security, benefits of timely adoption. A little dated, I won't lie. Leveraging modern hardware security features. That's a good one. They don't mention Rust. Oh, there it is. Rust is a registered trademark of Mozilla Foundation. Okay, cool. So this was an overly preachy PDF, which is nice. They kind of give you some tips and tools, and this is definitely something you could send along to your developers. Something you could set up a couple of 3 or 4 slides for a quick training session. I'm gonna have to get more water soon. Thought I'd fill that up before I started. But yeah, this is an interesting discussion on that. And is it full library? Okay, so oh, you might want to view the full library. Let me grab that link. The NSA does put out some decent directives and guidance. That isn't preachy. It's vendor agnostic. They don't suggest that they give you multiple options for your code. If you're already using Java, which a lot of people use, there should be ways that they can, reduce that. So uh, yeah. All right, let me go back here. So I read this the other day. It's a little old. It's from 7 May. I think I saw it in my Feedly. It's a 2-minute read, so it's not that bad. But so Vint Cerf, who arguably is one of the fathers of the internet of TCP/IP. So I see people with resumes and they're like, oh, skills, and they have TCP/IP. My retort to that is, unless you're Vint Cerf, you cannot put TCP/IP as a skill, um, because you just can't. You do not know enough about TCP/IP to call it like that. You may know the three-way handshake, which most people do know. You're not Vint Cerf, so on your resume, if you have skills TCP/IP, get rid of it. And save yourself 6 characters on your resume. So he's wrong about three. He said he was wrong about 3 things. And he got the 2023 IEEE Medal of Honor for co-creating the internet architecture and providing sustained leadership in its phenomenal growth and becoming society's critical infrastructure. He said he thought 32 bits would be enough for internet addresses. So this harkens back to I believe it's apocryphal. I don't believe Bill Gates actually said this, but the whole 640K of memory is enough for anybody kind of comment. He said, and of course everybody laughs, said, you idiot, why didn't you use 128-bit addresses? And his response to that was, people would have said, you're crazy if you think you're going to need 3.4 times 10 to the 38th addresses to do an experiment you aren't sure is going to work. He developed this with the idea that it wasn't going to go very far, right? It was just a proof of concept. It was a temporary thing. And of course, as we know, most temporary things end up being permanent, or last a lot longer than just being temporary. And so I'm sure it was a hard sell. I'm sure it was a hard sell for 32 bits, right? Because at the time they're like, well, we only at the time this was only being used by the government and universities. This was in the before times when it was still ARPANET, or it was still early days before the World Wide Web even. So it's like, let me see what it would be. What would it be? Well, he could not sell 128-bit addresses because there was no way in hell that, one, we all grew up with numbers, right? And 128-bit addresses, I mean, look at what does an IPv6 address look like? I mean, you can't go 192.168.1.1. I mean, you've got, I know, I mean, this is a truncated address, right? You see where's the double? Should be like a double bit in there, but the shorthand in there is, yeah, okay. So you got the zeros can be omitted. So colon means, the shorthand means it's completely done. But this is, how are you gonna convert that? How can you give somebody, back in the day, give them an IP address that looks like this? I think trying to create IPv6 back then and just having the simple numerical codes and the numerical addresses probably sped adoption. Both the network ID and host ID are included. Subnets are no longer needed with IPv6. Right. My point is, it's kind of like it would have been a harder sell because at the time, I don't think they had domain names, right? Or if they, I don't quote me on that, but it seems to me, 192.168.1.1 was a lot easier to communicate to somebody back in the day than it was 2001:ODB8:AC10:FE01:. No. So I completely understand his need for usability, such as it was. And then once they, implemented things like DNS, where it was like, 27.35.41.1, different network. Hey, Dust on the keyboard, how you doing? Welcome and come for coming in. Um, yeah, appreciate you hanging out here. So, um, I think in terms of usability at the time, because it was an experiment, they just wanted to see if it would work. And being a long-haired hippie, like Vint Cerf probably was back then, uh, it was an easier sell. It's like we should build the sandbags 7 foot tall because we don't want flooding to occur. Okay, so we build. No, we'll never have to worry about that. That's like a 1 in a million shot. Okay, so we build them 3 foot tall. Then, you end up, over time, the water gets a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, and now you need a 4 foot wall. And it's like now, now you need a 7 foot wall, and you're like, well, I never would have thought we needed a 7 foot wall. 3 foot was just what I could get people to build at the time, right? So that's one reason that made sense. Right. I would have been able to. He don't think he would have been able to sell 128. It would have been a complete like. What if he tried to push that? What if he tried to push? Hello, Dust on keyboard. Thank you for coming, first time chatter. I think it would have been a hard sell if he'd have said, "Hey, we need to have 3.4 times 10 to the 38th addresses." They're gonna be like, why? You have like 25 boxes on the network. Oh, and unless one of us went in our phone booth and went back in time to see Vint Cerf and go, look, you really need to have this. Maybe the internet wouldn't have gotten built if he was pushing on that too hard like that. Um, who knows? Didn't pay enough attention to security. That's fair. Before public key cryptography came around, key distro was a really messy manual process, right? Key distribution. Yeah, symmetric keys. I mean, back in the day, you used to go to parties to sign each other's PGP keys, like literally. That's not the same thing here, but it was awful and it didn't scale, right? I mean, I still argue that PGP doesn't scale well. And what used to be the trust relationship in PGP is broken because random people are going to sign your key. That's why I didn't try to push out on the internet. And by the time they did implement RSA's algorithm, I was well on my way to freezing the protocol, so I didn't push crypto stuff. One of the arguments, so Digital Word says one of the other arguments is there's a lot of IPv4 space reserved for testing that could be opened up for public addressing, but it would only buy a little extra time. I think we would have run out of raw IP addresses, I don't know, decades ago, like in the 2000s, if we hadn't had, CIDR and NetMasks and, restricting, 1918 addresses and stuff like that. I think when they realized that it was going to get bigger than it was, they were like, oh, well, we need to, 192.168.0, 192.168 0 whatever /16 or in the 172.1.6 address ranges, so B's and C's, and then your 10 dot 000 address. Having those so that internally they could be used that way and be non-routable, I think was probably we keep adding to it. I don't the internet's not dying right now because of IPv4. I mean, we still have the internet's still chugging along. I would say there's more IPv6 then than there was now, or now than there was then, but IPv4 isn't going anywhere, I think. Local addressing with public routing. Right. Yeah, which is, one of the reasons we have, things like firewalls and whatever. I didn't really appreciate the implications of the World Wide Web. I didn't expect the avalanche of content that went onto the internet once the web was made available. What happened as a result of that avalanche was that we needed to invent search engines in order to find stuff because there was so much of it. Absolutely did not predict that search engines would be needed. That's right, because when you have 25 boxes and everybody's got, 5 megs of hard drive space, or, and everything's over dial up, you don't think about what the future could be like, I mean, tricorders on Star Trek are not much bigger not much smaller than a phone right now. So, um, yeah, just kind of interesting to see somebody like, Vint Cerf after so many years come back and go, if I'd, if I had my, phone booth, I'd go back in time and, figure out, tell 30-year-old hippie me what, what the internet looks like, or whatever in 2023. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't tell 20, 1983, Vint Cerf what the internet is going to end up looking like. Um, maybe that is a mistake. Yeah, no. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? Replacing your lawn with wildflowers. That's not what I need. So, Digital Warhead. I was telling people I'm enjoying watching poker. Um, I'm using YouTube TV, so it's super poker time at my house. I don't know why I enjoy watching it, but it is what it is. Are you going to be digital? There would be a lot of learning experience to pass on to the past, both good and bad. I don't. I don't know, man. That I sorry. Let me pause that. Let me just kill that. I don't know if we had the ability to go back in time, and assuming we didn't have some kind of temporal prime directive where we couldn't affect the timeline, would we want to tell them about the future of the internet? I don't. What would it make it a worse internet, or what happens if we told them something? They're like, oh man, the internet's a bad idea. I'm just going to go back to gardening or something, and then it's like, oh well, we don't have an internet now, or it's super like immature, kind of like universities and the government are only ones who have access to it. What would that look like? That would be one of the, and depending on your idea of time travel, and you're going back to an alternate timeline, or you creating an alternate timeline by making this choice, and your prime timeline's always going to be there because you can't make any changes. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what that would look like. The worst thing would be is if they decided, oh yeah, we're just going to restrict this and not open it up to everybody. And the data and the analytics is only going to go to universities and not the military, or the unis and the gov, and not normal people. They didn't open it up to the World Wide Web. Um, yeah, I don't know what would happen. Father, oh, here's another one. Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, Vint Cerf and other internet pioneers issue a challenge on a day that might just go down in tech history. Okay, this one's from 2016. San Francisco Church is the headquarters of the Internet Archive. Okay, all right. I've done a lot of work on the Internet Archive just recently, as a matter of fact. Um, Interesting vulnerabilities that you can find online through the Internet Archive. Um, maybe Joe Gray and I will have another show where we can talk about that. Talk about finding vulnerabilities via the Internet Archive. Um, uh, really, they were calling for a decentralized web back in 2016. Um, it's a good idea in theory. Um, I don't know what decentralized. I don't know what a decentralized web would look like. I'm not sure it would be good. But we excited that we can really decentralize the web and that we have a group of people here to do it. I don't know. Digital Warhead, what are your thoughts on a decentralized web? And this article was in 2016, mind. So Bit, Bitcoin was probably like on a high right then. So there we go. So yeah, let's see if blockchain or Bitcoin's ever mentioned in here at all. I don't know if he's still at Google. They did hire Vint on at Google, like senior engineer or something like that, like for internet technologies. Cory Doctorow. Oh, I don't know who that person is. Let's go see who he is. Brewster Kahle. What did he do for a living? American digital librarian, computer engineer, internet entrepreneur, advocate of universal access to all knowledge. Okay, so he's creating Memory Alpha. He wants to create Memory Alpha. Uh, he was inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame in 2012. He founded the Internet Archive and Alexa Internet. There you go. So one thing I learned about Internet Archive, I believe the bot, according to their site, the bot that they use to crawl websites, they don't honor robots.txt anymore. So if your company is crawled by the Internet Archive, there might be vulnerabilities that are found on your site that you could, find in the Internet Archive. The bad thing about it is there's no way to remove that from the Internet Archive other than sending them an email saying, hey, this is bad, you should remove it. They also don't respond to email to tell you, hey, we've received your request. And they also don't guarantee that they'll actually do anything to remove the content off of the Internet Archive. So something to think about if somebody comes to you with a bug bounty and says, hey, we found, something that was crawled by the Internet Archive and it's got really sensitive company data, you might have removed it from your main site, but if the Internet Archive has crawled your site in the last, 2-3 months, that data might now exist in the Internet Archive. Just something to think about. Digital Warhead says, seeing how centralized and regulated the internet is becoming, I would like to see the internet regulated like public utility. Yeah. What is that? Is that a section article? No, section 201. Is it 201? No. What is it? Block that. What is it? Internet as utility. Yeah. Broad public utility. I think what the hell I call that? It's like Article 2, Section 200 something. Let me see if they've got it. Title 2. Title 2. Yeah, that's what it is. Title 2 of the Communications Act. The whole net neutrality argument that happened several years ago. Title 2, reclassifying broadband as a telecommunications service under Title 2 would give FCC authority to regulate broadband in more similar ways to public utility regulation. Treating something as a utility means the service is so essential, the government has a responsibility to ensure one way or another everyone has fair, reasonable, and affordable access, which is why the ISPs are fighting against it, because they don't want fair, reasonable, and affordable access. Right now, I only have one option for internet at my house in San Diego that is fast enough for me. I'm 2 blocks from 5 gig fiber to my door. Thank you, AT&T, for stopping at that point. And they're more than willing to offer me a 50 meg download package. And I was like, instead of 5 gigs, I get a 50 meg from you. Okay, yeah, try to sell me that piece of shit. So I ended up going with Spectrum, which used to be Time Warner. So far, it's fairly solid. It hasn't gone down at the house. I can view the cameras from my house from there to here. So, and several people on San Diego Reddit said that Spectrum all the days of the week and AT&T only if you absolutely have to. There are some places where you don't have an option. You don't have the ability to get, comparable, competitive, you can't call up Comcast and go, well, I'm just going to leave you and go to, Joe Bob Billy's, internet service. Oh yeah, you can't do that. Or you can, it's just you're going to end up with the equivalent of dial-up. So, yeah, so Title 2 is what everybody was talking about with net neutrality. I don't know. So digital. So decentralized internet. What does that look like? First thing I'm thinking of is everybody has a BitTorrent client, and you're going to store something somewhere, right? I'm going to have to store a couple of hundred megs of internet on my box. Otherwise, it's going to end up being, oh, somebody's going to stand up, a bunch of big fat servers, and 10 servers are going to hold the internet. Now, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what a decentralized internet looks like. And if anybody says blockchain on my chat, I swear. I don't know how big them blockchains can get. But I can imagine you're not going to put the whole of Twitter on there, or you're not going to, use some god awful, Mastodon instance to make that happen. Let me see. Windows 11 has something called Moment 3. Do I have that yet? I don't know. What's the new stuff in Windows 11 Moment 3? Live captions, okay. I don't hate that. Redesigned in-app voice access. I heard they're getting rid of Cortana. Or at least the standalone app. Cortana, yeah. Microsoft kills Cortana in Windows. So it revealed that it will stop supporting Cortana in Windows 10 11 in late 2023. It's my wife. How was your day? Oh, pretty good. She had to fly to Texas to bury her grandmother, who was a few months shy of her 102nd birthday. How was your day? You're just joining me online here. I'm talking to my wife. She's not at home. Went out to lunch. Grabbed a jog and a walk. Nice weather today. Drink. There we go. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they just haven't tried to figure out how to use Cortana with the existing AI implementations that they had. But I guess they already have other things that they'll have available to them. So this change only impacts Cortana in Windows, and your productivity assistant will continue to be available in Outlook Mobile, Teams Mobile, Microsoft Teams, and Teams Rooms. Cortana would never be competitive with Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa, and he recast technology as a back-end service. Interesting. Cortana would be ending support on Apple and Android, and it followed through that premise in March 2021. Yeah, I mean, they spent $10 billion on OpenAI, I think. So no reason to continue maintaining Cortana at this point. Hey, I was in Factoria yesterday and swung by Katsu Burger. I love me some Katsu Burger there at Digital Warhead. We had that, what was that, February? January, February? I forget whenever we had CSEC East then. CSEC East is this Wednesday. So my last CSEC East will be this Wednesday. I forget where we're at. On lunch and went to JB's. Came back about 30 minutes ago to pack and decompress. Oh, okay. Yeah, long day with family. Long day with the fam. I'm ready for you to be home. We have a lot of stuff we have to do in the next less than 20 days. Is it less than 20 days? We have literally 3 weeks. We're leaving on the morning of the 24th, like early. So we have almost 3 weeks left. 21 days. I had eaten it. Digital Word says that Meetup was the first time eating a Katsu Burger. I had eaten at the one. It was B-Sides. It was in Bellevue. There's a Katsu Burger in Bellevue, I think. Katsu Burger. Bellevue. Yeah. One in Bellevue. No, that's Factoria. What are you people talking about? No, there was another one in Bellevue, I thought. Because it was a B-sides that I went. Oh no, that's okay. Maybe it was HushCon. Maybe it was when. Oh, it must have been HushCon. Went down to HushCon. We walked over. Me and my friend Zach and Orchid Goth and them went to the Katsu Burger in Cap Hill. That must have been what it was. It was the Katsu Burger in Cap Hill. Fourth Ave. Oh no, that one's near where I used to work. Capitol Hill. There we go. 12th Ave. Got to be that one right there. Yep, that one's it. Yep, it was near the Unicorn and Narwhal, which that was when uh, they had HushCon there for a few years at the Unicorn and the Underground and the Narwhal there. So, and then we just walked over to Katsu Burger, which was down the street. So, we doing OSINT. Age of Music. Hello. Not. No, we're not. Digital Warhead was just telling me that he went to a joint called Katsu Burger in Factoria in Seattle, and I remembered this is the one I went to. Their five spice fries was really good. This was in the before times before the pandemic. Um, so yeah, we're just talking about Microsoft killing Cortana. Windows 11 has some additional bits that are going to be happening in it. Vince Cerf has made some. Yeah. Yeah, mark that in your book for if you ever make it up to Seattle, Katsu Burger's pretty good. Um, they have five spice fries, which are actually really good. They're with Japanese mayo, which is interesting. So yeah, they bread their burgers too. So you are seeing they bread it in Japanese breadcrumbs. Japanese breadcrumbs. Forget the name of them. And yeah, so they got a ton of stuff. The fries are excellent. The fries are definitely excellent. Let me see what they got. I always end up getting one with a burger with an egg on it. I think it was the teriyaki chicken is really good. Ohayu Gosimasu. That one's the one I have. Grass-fed katsu, cage-free fried egg, bacon cheddar cheese, tonkatsu sauce, and Japanese mayo. That's the one I normally get when I go. Yeah. Um, it doesn't do well bunless, obviously. uh, yeah. So what? I've not had that one. That the melon drink. I haven't had that. That's quite interesting. Is that a honeydew melon on there? I can't do honeydew. I can't do a honeydew melon. It tastes god awful. They don't taste like anything actually. Um, so let me see. New Mac OS vulnerability. Have we already talked about this one? Migraine, huh? Wait. What? Microsoft is talking about a Mac OS vulnerability. Oh gods. Okay. New vulnerability, which we refer to as migraine for its involvement with Mac OS migration, could allow an attacker with root access to automatically bypass system integrity protections. Is that the Golang build of Cobalt Strike? No, that's Geekin. I tried Geekin, Golang, Cobalt Strike. Yeah, no. So that would be this right here, but it requires you to jump through a bunch of freaking hoops. Uh, I know Black Lotus was being used. Maybe as we scroll down, we'll find out more about that. Let's see. Discovering a SIP bypass by design. Our research team regularly looks for malware and suspicious activity during a routine malware hunt. Routine. We discovered the execution of a binary called drop_SIP using the below advanced hunting query in Microsoft 365 Defender. So drop SIP, initiating process line. thinking we found an exploit in the wild. We found that it's an Apple signed binary that resides natively under system lib, private network, framework, system migration utils.framework, da 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 da. Upon analysis, the file appears to invoke CS ops undocumented but available here and starts a child process. Okay. So this is Darwin GNUs. All right, so let's go CS ops. Okay, static int. There's a PID ops user ADDRT. So it's a unsigned maybe. This is what, C code? I think so. Yeah, C code. So you'll forgive me. I don't know me some C code. User size T. So user size, user adder T. Unsigned audit token, add IT token. Let's go see if there's any other mentions. See, okay, so let's see, where is it? So it re-enables SIP checks by clearing code designing flags, specifically CS exec inherit SIP flag. Okay. We concluded the drop SIP process assumes it can bypass SIP. However, since drop SIP is not entitled to any SIP bypassing entitlements, we concluded it must inherit that capability. Wow. So they were able to, after discovering the parent process of SIP, which is system migration ID or system migration D, which is entitled with SIP bypassing capabilities. All right. So did I put that link in the chat? Nope, I did not. Here we go. Let's hope they fixed it. We found 2 interesting child processes for system migration D, a bash for first boot directory server, and a Perl. Oh my God, Perl. Ugh. Gross. Bash and Perl binaries are interesting because they're both interpreters, similar to how we tampered with the ZSH code flow back in 2021. We found similar ways to tamper with the code flow of Bash and Perl. Bash manual states bash env is a way to run arbitrary commands in bash instances. Perl run is also a way to arbitrarily run commands in Perl instances. So indeed, after triggering system migration D to run Perl, we were able to bypass SIP. Wow. Okay, so this isn't Black Lotus. This is just they found a way to bypass controls that allowed you to do some naughty bits. Our final exploit does the following: prepares a small 1 gig time machine backup and attaches it to HDI util. Prepares an arbitrary payload designed to run without SIP file system restrictions, right? Because they bypassed it in Perl and or Bash. Sets the environment variable Perl op5 to launch control to run the payload once Perl starts. Assigns the setup assistant with the MD debug and resume buddy yes command line flags. And this uses AppleScript to automate the setup assistant screens to migrate from a Mac time machine backup or start disk to be automatically clicking continue. You can create undeletable malware on OS, Mac OS. Expand the attack surface for user land and kernel attacker techniques. Tamper with the integrity of the system, enabling rootkits effectively, and a full TCC bypass, which is transparency, consent, and control policies, by granting arbitrary applications access to private data and peripherals. Ew, this is ugly. There's a lot of references in that doc if you want to check those out, including documentation on various things. This is some good work. It looks like a good write-up. So Jonathan Barr or Michael Pierce and Anurag Bora. So they're MS security people looked that up. So some interesting bits of research there. It's interesting. So they're pulling on threads, right? And it's like, how are they finding these things? You know, what makes them go, ooh, that's interesting. Let's go futz with that. Did they even mention that, or you know, what made them go and look at this? That's my thing. What makes them just get up one morning and go, Okay, so that's all they said. During a routine malware hunt, we discovered the execution of a binary called dropzip. Okay, so it sounds like, feels like some malware may have been using dropzip to do something that didn't, and I think they took it a bit further than what it was supposed to be. So what I'm hoping is they've contacted their good good frenemies over at Apple and said, "Hey, we did this. You might want to fix it." I don't know if they. Let's see further. Doesn't say anything about disclosure or what they did to disclose it. I'm hoping that they, did that before they publish this, which is what they probably did. This is on May 30th, 2023. That's interesting. We shared these findings. Oh, there you go. It's at the top. So they wanted to get out of the way. We shared these apples with Apple through their CVD by Microsoft Security Vulnerability Research. Fix for this vulnerability, now identified as 2023 32369, was included in the security updates on May 18th. So if you haven't patched for May yet on your Apple machine, go hither and yon and update it, because this write-up shows that it's fairly easy to do. I wonder what the fix was. I wonder what they did to patch it in this case. By the way, macOS is still having to put out patches for cups, by the way. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Freaking cups. Yeah. Printing, by the way. We're back in the office now after the return to office, and it's amazing the number of messages in Slack for people complaining about the printing software at work. It's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't print this thing. And I'm like, it's 2023. Who the fuck prints anymore? What are you printing? Stop printing. I'm ranty. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's a reason to print. Can't think of anything right now. I'm imagining during the pandemic somebody just printing out reams of paper on their printer at home so they can read things on a piece of paper instead of on the screen. Where are they putting that in? Are they throwing that in the trash? What are they doing to, do they have a shredder at least? I don't know. So it's one reason I moved the printer out of my office to my wife's office, because I was like, I don't print anymore. For every 1,000 pages she might print, I might print one. And since we don't longer print our boarding passes, I don't print. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And if you print, I apologize. There's good reason for it. It's not my bag of wax, or insert, cup of tea. There you go. This is garbage. I want to read more stuff about cybersecurity on Medium. The problem is it's garbage stuff like this: how VPN technology protects your privacy from hackers. No, it does not. That VPN has to go out somewhere, and the NordVPNs are great, but all they do is get you around like geo-blocking, like companies that are looking at IP addresses and going, no, you can't have Doctor Who now. You have to wait 2 weeks, or what have you. If you're in a country that is, where privacy is a problem, yes, it might be useful in that respect, but it has to exit somewhere. So you're beholden to whatever privacy is in that country. So if it's France or Germany or somewhere in the EU or the UK, you're going to be beholden to those privacy requirements wherever the exit point is. It's just something to think about. And a VPN company will turn over their logs to you. So you're not gonna, any company that says they don't keep logs, they're lying. Just keep that in mind. They will and can turn over logs if compelled to do so. Even that one in Switzerland. So, Dallas is back up and running. From what I saw, they were like 90% back up. I think we covered that news article. 2.5 million individuals impacted by Harvard Pilgrim. Let me make sure my wife didn't say something. Oh, yeah. Being near family is trying. My wife loves her family, but they live in East Texas. So take that as you think about it. Stereotypes, which we shouldn't be stereotyping people, but they live in East Texas. So there you go. Unveiling the deepfake dilemma. This workspace security flaw could let hackers quietly steal your drive files. Logging features only reserved for paid Google Workspace accounts. Experts have uncovered a method for hackers to steal data from people's Google Drive accounts without leaving any trace. Oh, it's one of those sites. Sorry for the pop-up, y'all. This means a threat actor could compromise a cloud storage account. They could easily revoke their paid license, bringing the account back to cloud identity-free costless licenses, and thus turning off any logging or record-taking features. Sorry, Age Music. My bad. I'm sorry. Won't happen again. Mitiga says it has notified Google of its findings, who is yet to respond. Interesting. So they're publishing this, but Google has yet to respond to this issue. Identifying which files were taken during data breach is an essential part of any postmortem. Yeah. Okay, so silently means that they're just going to turn off logging and then copy paste your files. Turning any logging or record taking features after that, they'd be able to exfiltrate any and all files without leaving a single trace. The only thing an admin would later see is that someone revoked a paid license. Interesting. Well, they're pretty light on, details. They published findings. Okay, so let's go see. Let's see. Mitiga security. Google Drive. Okay, so here's Mitiga's actual website. There you go. After gaining initial access to any platform, data theft, exfiltration is one of the most common attack vectors used by threat actors. These days, one of the most common targets for such attacks is Google Drive, a cloud-based repository. Do you have to explain what the hell Google Drive is in 2023? A cloud-based repository that enables users to store and access files online. Seriously? I'm surprised. These days, one of the most common targets for such attacks is Microsoft Windows operating system, a computer-based operating system where people can actually interact with a computer. You don't need that shit. You could have saved yourself 12 lines, unless you're getting paid by the word. You didn't need to add that. With more than 6 million paying business, okay, blah, 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 tremendous operative, blah, blah, blah. Given the prominence of this attack method and platform, okay, you could have gotten rid of that. I'm editing this now. Shit, it's like, you could just gotten rid of this whole line right here. Mitiga's research team focused on blah, blah, exfiltration techniques. Yeah. We discovered significant forensic security deficiency. Yeah. Here. Google Workspace provides visibility into Google Drive's resources using Drive log events. Okay, great. Yeah, it's very fluffy digital warhead. They are definitely writing by the and getting paid by the word. It feels like so. Um, exploitation. Here we go. User's account is compromised by a threat actor. Okay, so somebody guesses your password. You don't have 2FA. Threat actor gains access to an admin user. Okay, so not only does it have to be an account with no 2FA and a weak ass password, but it has to be an admin user. So it can't just be Joe, Bob, Billy, regular user person. They can revoke the user's license, download all their private files, and reassign the license. The only log records that are generated in this case are of revoke and assign license under log admin events. Threat actor who gains access to a user without a paid license but still uses the organization's private drive. Okay, threat actor. Okay, so a user without a paid license but still uses the organization's private drive. Sounds like the user was never offboarded from Google Drive, or at least the corporate Google Drive. So he has a Google Drive like myself. I have a Google Drive. I have an account potentially, and you can download all the drive's files without leaving any trace. I would say it would have to be the ones that user still had access to, because I can give somebody like Digital Warhead access to Google Drive that I pay for, and that person would have access to whatever folders or files that were in there. You've been streaming for about an hour and a half, and you just got a notification about it. Beta Wolf, I said I was going to be on at 6:30. You missed a lot of stuff, my man. It was great. Digital Warhead and everybody, they laughed, they cried. It was probably the best interview I've ever given. I can't believe you missed it, man. Man, I don't know what happened, dude. I literally have been on for an hour and 32 minutes. So I don't know what happened. Lady P is gonna come in about 5 minutes and she's gonna ream me because she's like, oh, you didn't announce it. I didn't get it on. I didn't put it on the Discord. She's gonna punt me a country mile. Yeah, good times. Let's grab that from there. It's okay. Now, actually, don't feel bad, Beta Wolf. We didn't have the interview tonight because I dorked it up and did not send the invite out to the necessary person. So we'll have that interview with the Blue Mara folks next week. Bill Rayor, Reyor. This person, let me see, Bill Rayor. There we go. Let's see if there's a picture of him. There he is. That's what he looks like. There you go. That's what he looks like. Anyway, back to the fun here. So, like if I gave Digital Warhead, who has a digital, Drive account, but it's not paid for, if I gave him access to the paid resources inside my org to like a folder, that may be what they're talking about here. Lady P's been stuck on hold on it. I'm beginning to think Lady P is an AI bot. Don't tell her I said that. Don't tell her I said that, Digital Warhead. I'll have to cut this out. I'll have to edit this part out. In the case of a user without a Google Workspace Enterprise Plus license, there are only source copy events, but not copy events. In addition, there are no logs of the download actions from the private user drive at all. So if the company checks only for copy events and not source copy for data theft, if copying is done by a user with an unpaid license, they will miss the exfiltration detection. Interesting. So start looking, start adding to your SIM if you can, source copy alerts. You might also see if you can add additional logging when somebody assigns a license or moves a license. Also, all of your admins on your Google Drive should require 2FA. Google Drive admins, 2FA. 100%. There should be nobody who's an admin of Google Drive that should not have 2FA installed. I hate taking hard lines like that, but I think 100% you need to have 2FA if you're an admin. That's just one of those things that you need to have. So, as a result, we can suggest conducting regular threat hunts in Google Workspace that include searching for this activity. I would say if you are not threat hunts, although in most cases it's unnecessary, we recommend monitoring source copy events, right, in your hunts to catch an employee or threat actor copies files from the shared drive to a private drive and downloads them from there. Awesome. Sorry, I'm talking to my wife who's in East Texas right now. I'll be making an appearance at the cell phone lot. And okay, Digital Warhead, have a good night. See you. I'll be at the cell phone lot at SeaTac. Hey Google, cancel. Oh my God. Shut up. Okay, it's done. I don't know what I said to make it want to do a bedtime activity. Oh, and it's doing nature sound. Hey Google, stop. I don't know what I said. Yes, Beta Wolf, she is trying to reach me through my Google Home. Yes. Is that nature sound? Has it got nature? No. Okay. That's the normal nature sounds outside as opposed to the one that I have up here. Oh my God. It tried to set and activate a routine for me. I don't know how or why I did that, but yeah. She's the boogeyman. It was like the yeah. Oh my God, yeah, that would be the worst. I mean, that's straight up digital stalking right there. But Lady P wouldn't do that. She's awesome. Oh my goodness. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I saw this. I don't know how reputable Asia Times is. There's a book out that I think I added to our Slack channel if you want to understand some geopolitical bits. Let me see. It's coming out soon. Battlefield Cyber: How China and Russia are undermining our democracy and national security. Okay. Here's the book. It's coming out. I didn't buy this book because I'm like, I imagine within the first couple of pages they're going to mention Cyber Pearl Harbor, and I was like, So, oh, previous one, not Asian one. The Quietly Taking Your Files there, Beta Wolf. All right. Love you. Have a good night. I'll be there. I'll kiss the cats for you. All right. Anybody here take the ICS 100? I do not know what that is. ICS. ICS 100. Introduction to the Incident Command System from FEMA. Oh, okay. Introduction to Incident Command System. It sounds like the emergency alert system. What was that? This has been a test of the emergency broadcast system. The broadcasters in your area, in cooperation with federal, state, and local authorities, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an emergency. If there's been an actual emergency, the attention signal you just heard would have been followed by official information, news, or instructions. This station serves the Springfield operational area. This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system. 25 multiple choice. Let's see if I can pass this mother. Oh, I get 2. Ooh. All right. Well, here's that. Introduction to Incident Command System introduces the ICS and provides foundation for higher ICS level training. It describes history, features, principles, and organizational structure of the Incident Command System. It also explains the relationship between ICS and the National Incident Management System, NIMS. The Emergency Management Institute has developed its ICS courses collaboratively with the National Wildlife Coordinating Group, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the Fire Administration's National Fire Programs Branch. Interesting. Okay. Interactive web-based course. Do I want to do this? How long did it take you to go through this? Age of Music. It says it's a course length is 2 hours. I ain't got 2 hours. Structured command for incident response. For like real stuff, not like cybersecurity stuff, like firefighting and stuff like that, right? Or let's go look. You can bash through it in about 40 minutes. Okay, well, they've got a bunch of PDFs. Here's the ICS for public works, schools, and utilities. Oh, okay. Many utilities in the U.S. understand government construct under the National Response Framework, NERF, or the National Incident Management System, NIMS, and the tenets of the Incident Command System. Very cool. All right, so you got the Incident Commander, Public Information Officer, okay, the Liaison Officer who liaises, Safety Officer, and then you have Operations Section, the Planning Section, the Logistics Section, and the Finance and Admin sections. Okay. Each utility is taking the foundational concepts of ICS and tailoring the system for their operations. Some utilities are using ICS for weather-related incidents, and others are using it across their agency for incidents beyond weather, such as plant outages, wildfires, facilities or lines. Kind of like SDG&E is shutting down, most of SoCal when there's Santa Ana's because their fire, the winds pull down their lines and cause fires. Data center outages or call center outages. When properly designed, ICS will provide an integration strategy that includes all business units of a company or agency, whether in a single corporate agency environment or across multiple companies or agencies, or in multiple states or disciplines. Oh, that's a bold claim, Cotton. Let's see how that works out. Gas, electric, water, gas only, and other energy fuel provides. Yeah, interagency cooperation and whatnot. Interesting. So, I mean, some of this stuff you could use for incident response because, some of the, you're going to be, we don't call them public information officers. We're going to call them the PR and marketing people. The liaison officer is going to be, I would say the liaison officer for the world would be the person that goes and talks to your management instead of the incident commander. In an incident, at least in a corporate incident or, whatever, you got to have somebody who can go and talk to management and keep them off your back, provide air cover. If the incident commander has to take time away from the incident to go, oh, boss, here's our hand puppets. Oh, here's, whatever. You're gonna run into problems. So you want that liaison officer, at least in my thinking, to be the person communicating to management or to other teams, like interagency cooperation and whatnot. Yeah. So operations, planning, logistics, finance. I'm assuming these would flex depending on what kind of division departments you have and which ones are actually affected by that incident, as in most things. So like you're not going to have all hands on deck for an incident that's only going to affect certain parts of the organization. Right, right. Age of Music. It's totally scalable. The idea is that your framework has to be flexible enough to change with the times. So if you have plant, if you have an operations department and you have a plant operations department, or you have a, you have a, I don't know, wildfire management system or something like that, and it's like, you have something that doesn't fit into these one of these four, you're just going to branch off and go, okay, we need this person or we need this group or what have you. The IC is everything until they need more people to handle stuff. Right. Right. And some of these can get pretty deep depending on where the incident commander sits in the organization. Ideally, you want the incident commander at the top, and able to boink boink boink. There we go. Pow. Sorry, I'm sending. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the incident commander is going to have to be at least if this was the real org, it would have to be somebody fairly senior, or would defer to somebody who the PIO or the safety officer, those folks would respond to. The safety officer, I don't know what the analog would be in a corporate environment. Safety officer, I'm surprised they don't have a legal section in here. Do they have a legal section? Most of the time you're going to have PR and legal on your laterals, right? You're going to have a communications person, internal communications, external communications, which is your PR and your marketing or your PR person. You're going to have legal. You're going to have a internal communications person. So let's see what they got. Command staff. Incident commander for utilities, likely a person who's broadly familiar with corporate agency operations, whether in the EOC or at the scene in the field at an incident command post. Interesting. See, that doesn't work for like regular incidents in corporate world. Broadly familiar, maybe. Safety officer, top security manager. Okay, so it could be the CISO in this case, safety officer. I could see that. Yeah, it could be the CISO or somebody like that for an incident like that. It could just be another security person that whoever's the person on call, the assistant CISO or something like that. Incident commander is responsible for I wish they had like a checklist of things that responsibilities, activating other components of the incident management team. Many utilities are requiring their incident commanders to take additional levels of ICS training. Oh, wow. So the 200, 700, 300, and 400, and the L course. What's the L course? Oh, physical security. Yeah. Makes sense, I guess, if it was something that occurred in the building, right? If it occurred in a building or, you know, maybe like somebody who had access to everything in the building, all the keys, maybe even like the head janitor or sanitation engineer or somebody like that, or somebody who has access to everything in the building. I passed this the other day. I'm interviewing for physical. Oh, that's right. I remember that Asian music. Yeah, you're working on a physical engineering position. Yeah. Let me know how that goes out. What kind of questions they ask you. That would be interesting to talk with them about. So, utilities work in a routinely hazardous environment. It's important that safety officers familiar with blue sky as well as emergency standards to escalate. Yeah, I mean the safety officer in a fire, flood, earthquake, tornado, pipeline rupture, dig in, etc. Yeah. Liaison officer exists in formats in utility environments. Okay, so in a utility, whether it's emergency management, business continuity, facility, customer focused, or government affairs. Most important component of the LO as a utility is broadening the reach and brokering additional relationships with counterparts and ensuring there's unity from the utility to the outside world. That's interesting. So the liaison is not internal comms here. The liaison is, I would imagine the liaison officer would exist outside the incident, even in many respects, broadening the reach and brokering additional relationships, ensuring there's unity from the utility to the outside world. So this would be maybe a communications person. This may be okay, let's go see what wait a minute, where's the public information officer working daily, internal and external. Okay, so they have the PIO handling comms. The liaison officer would be all the partnerships and people that you work with that are affected by the outage potentially. They would be talking with them individually and going, hey, yeah, we're really sorry. This is happening. This is well, they wouldn't say sorry, but they'd be like, this is happening. You might be affected by this, that kind of thing. It'd be silly if I showed up to the party without this. That's true. That's true. Um, yeah, it might be interesting to do the 200. So they have 100, 200. They skip over to 700. Oh, now we're back to 3 to 400, and then whatever the L course is. I don't know what the L course is, but um, interesting. Interesting. Training.FEMA. What was their training like there, Age of Music? Was it, God forbid, Flash or anything like that? Or were they using, just regular, audio video stuff? See, here's the 100 series. Complete.zip. It's only 40 minutes, just panels, a couple videos. Oh, it's not too bad. I did, might as well be. Okay, I was asking about the open book thing, but it might as well be. Yeah. Hmm, I don't know. You're accessing U.S. government information system, public burden notice, student ID. Oh, I don't have a student ID. I don't have a PIV either. So, yeah, on the main page, you can take the course. Apparently, you have to sign up so you get the student ID. I don't have a student ID. I have to register for one. cdp.dhs.gov, FEMA SID. Okay. Yeah. Oh, they had a cool. Oh, it was interesting. Watch. Let me see. Can you even see? Okay. That when you close that, the go away animation is pretty nice. Oof. Sorry, I just noticed those things. All right. Well, that looks kind of cool. I didn't know those existed. So, did I put that link in the chat for the FEMA courses? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. FEMA SID. I was wondering where the 200 level courses were for that too. So, yeah, there's no reason not to get it. Government has cool little nifty certs. Yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to be in government service, that is definitely something you'd want to be getting yourself. So, yeah, cool. Okay. Well, today I learned about FEMA training. That was available. Um, so anyway, the book that I put in there was about the military industrial espionage. Again, I don't know how Asia Times legit they are. They aren't. They are fairly critical of China in this case, or they're stating fact that China's got hackers that are grabbing IP out the ass. I saw this on LinkedIn. This was a LinkedIn article that I had. Uh, in old timey days, back before most of you were born, the idea was that China could not project power, right? And I, being what it is, having been in the military, that was the rhetoric that we heard for years. That they have a billion strong army. Okay, great. They can't swim. They can't swim across the Pacific Ocean. So they don't have the troop carrier capabilities to put a billion people on, um, on that foreign soil. They'd march across Asia to get to Europe before they could get there. But they're, you know, obviously the technology has been borrowed by hackers, and the way the building works with China, they can easily, yeah. So here, this is an aircraft carrier that China has, and along with their navy or what have you, but they can, I would say, build faster than us, and it's starting to feel like that projection of power thing is more rhetoric than anything else. They even have technology that they've managed to reverse engineer, like our stealth and things like that. So um, it'll be interesting to see what happens if they keep figuring out how to, create Yeah, see, to that end, Chinese military and IS have turned over R&D secrets obtained through cyber activities and intellectual property theft. As a result, advanced military capabilities based on stolen designs are rapidly developed and then flow to the People's Liberation Army as part of the military civil fusion that Xi Jinping has declared. End goal is to transform the PLA into the world's most technologically advanced military by 2049 on the 100th anniversary of Mao Zedong's establishment of communist rule in China. So it's see they have now their first super carrier launched a year ago. Um, that's their version of the Nimitz super carrier that looks way sleeker. Doesn't look as ugly as ours does. You know, not as blocky. Sure, it has ELM and all that on there. So let's see. The Chinese Navy's two seaworthy carriers or small carriers use a ski jump like devices to launch planes that were based on 19 eras Russian class carriers, right? It's based on America's recently launched Gerald R. Ford, as evidenced by Chinese propaganda showing the housings of the electromagnetic catapults, right? Capable of launching the ship's entire complement of aircraft in under an hour. So yeah, they're able to take and reverse engineer our stuff probably faster than us, and because they're working it out. So this is definitely an example of where um, hacks to the government are going to be making tangible issues there. The only upside to this is assuming they haven't figured out things like, we know the weaknesses of the technology that we're employing. They steal the same technology. Their weaknesses are our weaknesses are now their weaknesses, unless they figured out ways around that with their own technology. So, it hopefully we're on I wouldn't say we're on equal footing, but we should be able to figure out how to figure those things out. Penetrations were not limited to fighter jets and carriers. Hacking group quietly probing another defense contractor. Government redacted the victim's name and all official correspondence except to verify the company was working at the Naval Undersea Warfare Unit. Oh, beauty. I had a Huawei rep try to steal our IP in Cairo, kept demanding we log into our secure server in the NOC from his machine. Oh my God. He plugged in a dummy WB key and went, oh, guess it's not working. Then we got to the data center. He was hitting our login with a Gatling gun brute force attack. Oh my goodness. Heavily depends on what side of the industry is doing this in China. There are some people who just don't copy and enhance. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're developing all kinds of stuff, right? Next generation sub technologies, Virginia class subs. We got all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so that book's available if you want to read up on some geopolitical stuff. Um, you know, I don't know how much it veers into, like Fox News territory, but it is a book that two people have written that are talking about this stuff. So if you do read it, let me know what you think about it. So this would be one of the people, Herbert Carlisle, right? No. Okay, so he must have warfighter, Air Force General Herbert Hawk Carlisle led combat aviators. Okay, four-star admiral general. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, we're not going to be able to stop intrusions in our government systems. It was pretty choice. I lolled. Yeah. They have no shame. God. Yeah. Let me see. GoPro 3. Ugh, okay. Mage cart. Risky smartphone travel. I had somebody tell me the other day at B-side Seattle because I was like, they overheard us talking, me and I think Mr. Warhead who left, talking about my company considers Vegas to be be the same as if I was traveling to China. So I have to have a burner phone. If I want to do any work, not a burner phone, but if I want to do any work there, I have to have a burner laptop. Um, well, yeah, I mean they still support the lifetime membership, but there's additional like add-ons and stuff like they're they mention quite heavily their threat intel feeds. Um, so let me see, I think they advertise it on their site for like threat intel stuff. Feedly threat intel. Yeah, so the fastest way to deliver research threats, yeah, request free trial, no credit card required. Um, you know, any place that does an RSS, or they actually they do they do searches by keyword, for instance, on various sites. Like bad actors. Yeah, and there's a ton of stuff in there. Filmora or W.E changed their mind on lifetime memberships and then screwed everyone over who bought lifetime. Yeah. I've had this for almost a decade now, and that's about $9 a year for me. So pretty good. PyPies, yeah, we already talked about 2FA requirements, LTO shipments. Always carried a dummy everything, hard drives, phone, YubiKeys. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a my boss actually suggested that I get a brand new laptop because my i5 that I have for work, because they don't expect PMs to actually do shit. Corpo espionage is wild. Yeah, so I was at B-Sides. I'm gonna finish my story here, and I think Digital and myself were talking about the fact that I'm gonna be in Vegas for the first time ever in my career, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go get a burner laptop because it's Vegas. And this person walked by, and they said, that oh, we as an industry fail because we don't have we can't keep our hands out of the cookie jar. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. We shouldn't have. They're like, oh, you shouldn't have to have a burner phone to go to Vegas. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going for work, so I'm going to follow whatever work fucking tells me to do. Even though I believe the event that I'm going to be working at and running is at the Luxor, which is going to be several hotels away from the DEF CON Black Hat events. Um, it's, you do what the company tells you to. I'm not going to say, hey, don't. I'm probably not going to take my own laptop except when I'm using it up in my room. Um, but things like Bluetooth, I'll turn that off. Because yeah, I don't want to say I'm paranoid, but I people like to do shit. Corpo espionage is probably something that actually does happen at DEF CON still. Yeah, you might be right on that. Um, it would make sense. I mean, well, actually, I probably do have some stuff on there from my 2 years of working where I've been working, and I've been in a couple of other places. So I probably have some doc files that are sitting on my computer that I shouldn't have on there anymore. Yeah, I mean, you know, I may be trying to, not do anything bad. I was just, following whatever guidance is available, because the last thing I want is my only laptop to get owned, or, something to get bricked or whatever. So plus they give me a separate laptop, so good. Only takes one, you're doing the right. Yeah. Yeah, it only takes one. So yeah, what sucks is we just have dysfunctional people in our industry that can't leave shit alone. You do when people go to development conferences, are they worried about corporate espionage there? So, Beta Wolf, when you say there was definitely a time where I probably would have been that one, you mean the dysfunctional person that can't leave shit alone and is doing random scans and attempting to hack into people's laptops and things? Well, I'm glad you grew up, Beta Wolf, because if I'd have found out you were still doing that at DEF CON Black Hat, I'd probably push you off the balcony of where the rooftop pool is. So, I mean that out of love. Not really, but Yeah, the dysfunctional people are the ones that probably don't belong in polite society and probably should not be in DEF CON, but they can't do anything about it. So it is what it is. Yeah, yeah. That probably cost me a viewer or five, so I apologize. You're, I heard, hey, white collar crimes. I heard, you get conjugal visits, so that's pretty good. Go to prison, get conjugal visits. It's always nice. That's an Office Space reference, folks. An Office Space reference. Let's see. How can mastering Rust advance your career in cybersecurity? I do not know. Let's see how Rust can help me. Developers have shown a stronger desire to study and master. Yeah. Several, you're not the only ones. Ransomware gangs are increasingly using coding or rewriting their software in Rust. Why? I do not know. A friend of mine is trying to master Rust for this exact reason because he's wanting to write malware. I'm guessing that the ransomware gangs are checking, encoding, and rewriting their software in Rust because, the enemy, in this case, the enemy is Microsoft and them, for the bad guys, are using these as well. So they have to understand the little peccadillos in Rust that will make it possible for them to own up that code. My beloved Go is being left to the wayside. I don't know. I think there's always going to be companies and people that use specific things. Andrew Hay, Chief Operating Officer of Laris Consulting. Okay. Mustache wax will save. Them hamsters have got mustaches. The ability to directly access hardware and memory is one of Rust's two greatest advantages. Other languages make it impossible to develop extremely low-level code, but C# allows it. The operating speed of Rust is the second key advantage. Hay told Dice that the language provides excellent speed while assuring memory safety. Yeah, I tried to do Rust the other day, having to download VS, was it not Visual Studio, not VB Script, the .NET shit, all that VB.NET bullshit. It was like, I really don't want to download all that shit and install it. So look up Ziglang. Why do I want to? Do I want to look that up? Do I want to look that up? You're gonna make me look that up, aren't you? Zig programming languages. Is this an April Fool's joke? General purpose programming language and tool chain for maintaining robust, optimal, and reusable software. Focus on debugging your application rather than debugging your programming language knowledge. No hidden flow control, no hidden memory allocations, no preprocessor, no macros. Well, I can't use this. This is garbage. I need me some macros, Beta Wolf. I love macros. I had those when I was in France. They get little puffy cookies. Those are so tasty. Fresh approach to meta programming based on compile time execution and lazy evaluation. I don't understand what I just said there. Call any function at compile time. Manipulate types as values without runtime overhead. Comp time emulates the target architecture. Yeah, strawberry macros. Please don't hurt me. I know a macaron. So there's was it macros, macron, macaron, and macaroon. There's four of them now. Macron is the PM of France. A macro is, something you can call again and again and again, and a 3-1 is the right one. Yeah. So macaroons are something made with almond flour. Macaroon, that's a macaroon. That's a macaroon. And then there's macaron, which is French, which is the puffy little cookie, which is what I'm talking about. So, not to be confused with macros, Yeah, anyway, if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. What is it? Hey, buddy. I know, buddy. It's getting dark, isn't it? Well, Daddy's been on a little longer than normal because I figure I owed it to people because I dorked up the interview tonight. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? Come here. Oh, you know I'm gonna pick you up and love on you. That's why. The Zig community is central. Oh, hey, it's. Well, I dorked it up, and so, and plus I really get on for this long, so I'm just gonna yeet the table. Yeah, well, I don't want to yeet the table. I've got two 27-inch monitors that aren't connected to anything, so if there's a earthquake, it's gonna go. Zig community is decentralized, so they have a Discord. Is that what they use? They use a Discord. Oh, they have IRC. Okay, I'm out. Oh, they have a Discord. Okay, good. Zig programming language Discord. Okay, so oh, they got copy link. I'm out on IRC. I tried it. It sounds great, but yeah, no, I'm out. So there's several Discords for this. There's an international Discord for folks in Japan. There's also one for China, and Telegram. Wow. They have quite a few. Even I don't know what the hell the Zulip is, but sounds cool. Wow. Email lists. Interesting. No problem, Agent Music. Hope you have a good day, and good luck on your interview if it's happening in the next few days. Keep us updated on what happened there. I want to find out what kind of questions they were asking you. If it's like how you dispose of nuclear waste or something like that. I find just taking that stuff home in a metal container is probably the safest. Oh wait. Yeah, you're gonna crush it. That's right, Age of Music. You're gonna get this job. Yeah, a lead line container, with metal in it and stuff. You can go that route. Wow, several Zig.show, the show where members of the Zig community share code and ideas. Okay. Wow. So I mean, what? I guess the big question is, what are people actually using it to do? Is there anything that people are using it for other than, let me see, community projects? Where's the community projects? Projects written in Zig or projects that support Zig. So we have a C compiler. Things they don't want to do in Rust. Okay. Well, we have a 2D engine written in Zig. We have a C compiler written in Zig because, writing a C compiler in C is probably too redundant. High level 3D engine written in Zig. Embedding directory trees. Don't have to worry about memory management. How so, Beta Wolf? Is this what I need to replace for Golang on Friday? Is this the new hotness? Is this coming up? Is this the cool hotness that is the next big thing? Rust and Zig and whatever. Let me see. So 4 months, 5 months, 13 hours, 3 weeks, 6 months, 6 months last year. So there's okay. So wow, it's fairly recent, right? It would be sad to see you leave Go. Well, to be fair, Go kind of left me. I think the last time I tried to do anything in it, I was using Go code from like version 1.09. And of course, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't compile. It wouldn't run. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what to do once I've learned something. Obviously, I'm supposed to be creating an application or doing something useful with it, and I just don't know what that is. And that's always been my problem with learning programming languages. Yeah, you can learn the underlying format and everything. I could probably open up some Go and understand the concepts inside. What the fuck am I going to do with it? Right? I'm not a coder. I don't use it at work. I don't make shit at work. Rust is great at never having that issue. It's backwards compatible, so it's top notch. Again, I'm going to have to refer you, Beta Wolf, to setting up Rust's IDE, which required install Rust, which required me to install a bunch of other shit, including some kind of Rust up init where I had to download a bunch of things. And I think it failed, and I just was like, screw it, I'm done. Because if I can't even get through the installation of it, what choice, what choice do I have there? Yeah, you need to install Visual Studio C++ build tools. I mean, that's not a small download. I mean, with at least with Go, I could just install Go and I'm done. This requires a bunch of other stuff, C++ and what have you. So, you know, I mean, I don't care what programming language I learn. Build tools are a lot, but that's overhaul for C++ nowadays. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I already have the Rust up init exe file, which is going to open up a bunch of shit. Probably be I want to say it would probably be easier if I installed everything on a Linux VM or something like that, but yeah. the the issue was there was no good Go tutorials or things that you could do that didn't require you to purchase a tutorial plan or something like that. Cool thing is with Rust Up download, you get the Rust book. That's the best book to learn off of, which you can buy if you wanted. I'm good. Are you a silly boy? What are you? Oh my! Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Oh my! Oh, he's rubbing. He's. Oh, he ran off. He was rubbing himself on his rug. So yeah. So I mean, at this point, I don't care what kind of language I learn. If Zig is awesome, and cool, that's yet another thing I could learn. What is this? Constraints did import STDs. I don't want to import an STD. That's gross. My wife would probably kill me if that happened. Parse int standard format. Parse init. Okay. Test parse integers. Input 123. Thank you, Beta Wolf. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else here do coding languages? I know we have 5 viewers and untold numbers of lurker types. Anybody here use any kind of programming language? Anybody use Zig before and is like, yes, it's awesome, or no, don't attempt any landing on Zig. All the other places you can go to, but don't attempt landing on Europa, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, they're like super early. They aren't even up to 1.0 releases yet. Interesting. General purpose programming language and tool chain for maintaining robust optimal user. I keep saying these 3 things, but I don't think they mean what they think they mean. The project is financially sustainable. Ooh. Backed by the Zig Software Foundation. Please consider. Okay, so that's interesting. They're actually self-sufficient or financially sustainable with full-time people working on it. CMake. Uh-oh. Oh, they're using LLVM. Okay, so that's interesting. Zig release upgrades 1507. Bugs including regressions introduced in LLVM 15. At the time of this writing, the hyperlink 404 is because LLVM did not provide release notes for that version. Okay. Wow. A lot of changes. See, that's the other problem I have with like really fast iterative code. The minute you put out a tutorial for something like a Ziglang, it's probably going to be outdated in 6 months. A lot of the stuff that I found online for Golang was like, oh yeah, just copy paste this and it's going to work. Well, yeah, it worked, except they probably made some kind of major change in like 1.14, and this 1.09, you actually have to have enough intelligence to go, oh, it doesn't work because of this. I need to fix this, and I don't have that. For them, they're using all the buzzwords that C or C++ had and Rust now has, and then some changes to Rust's Railguard system, and then whoop, bam, zig. Rust and Zig doesn't really have that issue because of how C++ works. You're going to make me install like freaking C++ standard libs and stuff again, aren't I? How do I install this shite? Let's see. Download and or documentation. You're going to make me download this shit. Yeah. So you're saying Rust and Zig are good because Golang is hot garbage because it doesn't do backwards compatibility. There's something to be said for not maintaining backwards compatibility. It's a lot of the problems that Windows still has. But yeah. Let's see. Sorry, you can't see anything that I'm doing here because I just downloaded the Zig Windows x64 bits. Yeah, it doesn't do backwards compatibility. Absolutely correct. Also, it with the PC load letter thing that I got, error message that I got was a little odd. Could Daddy just have something that was installed from package manager? There's a JSON version of this package. Files are signed with mini sign using this public key. Whatever. Here. I wonder if Zig is supported in hardship for Rust and Zig is they're so serious about backwards compatibility it takes forever to get updates because anything new they have adds needs to work with everything else. That makes sense. Let me see. Remote Explore extensions. Let's go see if Zig, Lang. I'll be damned. They have support for Zig in VS Code. Interesting. All right, Beta Wolf. All right, you know what we'll do on Fridays when I don't have a thing. We're gonna learn Zig. There you go. Executive decision. Fridays will be Zig Fridays. Zig Friday. Yeah, we'll call it Zig Friday. And maybe we'll get some people from the Zig community who can come in and tell me I'm doing everything wrong, and I can tell them to go away with your man bun hippie and make me a latte or something. Shake my old ass fist at them and whatever. Punk kids and your new languages. So yeah. Hey, Beta Wolf, you gonna come to the CSEC East meetup on Wednesday? Let's see, I forget where it is. I'm supposed to RSVP to it. I probably should RSVP to it. Did I sign on? Oh, okay. Let me get my screen back up here. Log in. Okay, cool. Let me log into it first because I need to. It says email right there in the freaking thing. It's my last one, so let me see where it's going to be. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to get on the new folks because there's 2 pending members who've been pending since the 1st and the 3rd, and nobody has approved of them. So going to have to remind the organizers, the new organizers, they need to do their shite. So somewhere not dead like the last time I showed up. Oh, you were fine. You were fine. Let me see. It is going to be at Dosa House in Bellevue. That's right. Dosa House in Bellevue. I think we're going to need. Where's my yes? Oh, I've already signed up. I'm going. Okay, so we have 11 people. Holy shite, we got 11 people. Wow, we're back. I hope we have 11 people. That would be nice. Almost starved to death. What'd you starve to death for? Was that the one at the food court? Let me post that link up in here for all the Seattleites. This one's in Bellevue, so everything was closed. Well, yeah, the food court closes at 9. Actually, the mall closes at 9, which is the only downside to that. So, get my camera back on here. All right, so I'm going to download the Zig programming thing. The fact that it's a zip file only is kind of janky for me. I would really like an exe because I don't need that Stream Deck. I mean, I'm okay with a zip file, but yeah, just the only thing in there is a doc, a lib, and a license, and a zig.exe. So it's not a, it's, I mean, that's not very big if that's all it takes to do this. So we'll see what happens. Might go into the office Wednesday, so I'm already there. Yeah, it's in Belred Road. Belred, yeah, Belred Road near Pagliacci's Pizza, which is a better than average local joint for pizza. Pagliacci's, I would go there in a heartbeat, even though I'm still kind of trying to be off carbs and being a good boy. So yeah, you're gonna. For me, I'm gonna take either 150. I'll probably take 156 up from the 90 or the 148. It's right next to the go karts, so if you want to do corporate go kart outing, you go over there too. But wow. All right, so Friday's gonna be Zig Fridays for a good while. The next couple weeks, like I told everybody, I got 3 weeks until we leave for San Diego. I won't lie to you. The week of the 20th is going to be weird. Finishing up my class on power and influence, which, oh my God. Okay. So y'all, look, I harp on the Harvard business stuff a lot, but I got to tell you, how do I say this? This class, Power and Influence for Positive Impact, it's so well taught. It's excellent. I mean, the examples they give you in there. Week 3 was kind of a DE&I course of sorts. Understanding things like stereotype. Was it stereotype threat? So a stereotype threat. Yes. So this is an interesting concept, which I learned about, and that's probably where some of my imposter syndrome stems from. It's the risk of confirming a negative stereotype about an individual's racial, ethnic, gender, or cultural group, which can create high cognitive load and reduce academic focus or performance. One of the examples they gave for us white dudes is that when they were doing an experiment and it was just a bunch of people out there having fun, the measured activity and performance of everybody was roughly the same. When they started comparing, like, athletic stuff, white dudes versus black dudes, in basketball or something, when it was a competition between white dudes and black dudes, the white dudes actually did far worse. But when it was just a fun game or whatever, and it wasn't a comparison or a competitive thing against white dudes versus black dudes, the performance of people in the white dude category was not nearly as bad. They also mentioned things like even seemingly positive stereotypes where it's like um, you know people who are good at math or something like that, certain stereotypes about people who are good at math, and or people who if for a fact that as a an underrepresented group, I do something poorly. The stereotype is we do something poorly, and I'm doing that thing, and you know oh my God, I've got to do really good on this test, because if I don't do good on this test, then everybody's going to be like, you're a white dude. You should have done really well on this because, you're a white dude. But, now there's this thing where I've got to do good. I've got to do good. So the stereotyping threat was kind of an interesting thing that I didn't know about. And so, there's a lot of good information in that class. No, Beta Wolf. But there was a lot of good. There was I yeah I I can't I'm not good at math. Um, no, I'm not good at math. But there was a lot of excellent topics in there, and I think I put some of that stuff in the leadership channels on both the Discord and the Slack, including some of the bibliography stuff. Let me see, normative social influence. I think no, that's not it. Some of these I actually found the PDFs for, which were available online through like ResearchGate or what have you. Let me see. Talking honestly about racism can transform individuals and organizations. Yeah, so this is one of the books Professor Livingston, Robert Livingston, wrote about some of the challenges of addressing systemic racism in an organization, approachable and achievable. It's only a 10-hour and 35-minute audiobook if you want to listen to the audiobook as well. But yeah, there's a number of books and mentions and citations in this week that I put into the the chats, the leadership Slack and the Discord chat leadership channel. Uh, where is it? Ah, yes. Okay, so open in browser. So they say it may be tempting to believe we can shut out others' negative beliefs or somehow fortify ourselves against them, yet research shows that even the awareness of stereotypes about oneself or one's identities can have an impact on how we behave. The phenomenon, which we introduced in Module 3, is called stereotype threat, and it describes a psychological state that occurs when members of a disadvantaged group are aware of the existence of a negative stereotype and try to act in ways that do not confirm the stereotype. Doing so, power disadvantaged individuals tend to demonstrate apprehension about confirming the negative stereotype, which can ultimately affect their behaviors and performance. It's crazy. Yeah, Beta Wolf, you ain't white. No. And so I found this to be a really great class so far about power dynamics, how to use different techniques in approaching people, the disengaging technique or the attracting technique or the bridging technique, which I do a lot of apparently. Um, and so I'm telling you, if you have $1,700, if there's some training budget that you have at work that you have available, I would say this class and some of the other classes that they have here are worth the cost beyond a SANS course. I'm going to say it right there. This is better than a SANS course because this is stuff you're going to take and be able to use even beyond your, when you're stop cracking shells and stuff like that. Um, there's an, this is a really great class, and I've still got 2 weeks left, but the week of the 20th is going to be a little janky because we're going to be packing out. All of this shit's going to be broke down. One or two of my monitors are going to go away. My computer's going to be packed up. It's okay, Beta Wolf. Where'd you get the flat the wings from? Is that I don't remember putting those in. Are they just ones that come with Twitch? Oh yeah, look at that. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Twitch emotes. Huh. I don't use them all that often. Wow, okay. Mercy Wing 1 and Mercy Wing 2. Yeah, and then there's something called Pink Mercy. I don't know what that one is. Don't know who Pink Mercy is. Some kind of anime character. But yeah, so this one, and then there's other ones. It's like strategy, execution, and stuff. But these are things that I wish I'd have taken years ago, to be honest. And that's something else that they talk about in these classes too. The shoulda, woulda, couldas, um, and the power and the influence fallacies is just really excellent stuff. So there's plenty of bibliographies available and other books. Yeah, so like uh, so this is the from Power to Action. I actually found this on ResearchGate, so the PDF is inside the leadership channel. I mean, you don't have to take the class, but if you just want to get the gist of what's going on with them, they cite a lot of papers. They also mentioned the book Power, I think. Power. No, I bought it. I just bought it. Let me go see. Ebooks. Digital cert. No. Gift cards, addresses. Things I just bought. Things I just bought. Digital orders. There we go. Progress principle. That's it. Yeah, progress principle. So I got the audiobook for this one, Progress Principle, Small Wins to Ignite Joy and Creativity at Work. Talking about, motivations and what have you. I know it's boring. I'm here for the popping of the shells and the things like this. There's going to come a point in your career, and I should have listened to my friend Steve Beck when 20 years ago, he's like, you should go get your MBA. And I was like, what the fuck am I need MBA for? Could have used an MBA. And in lieu of getting an MBA, I've got 20 plus years of IT and security experience, and I'm getting my management certificate through Harvard Business Online. I don't have $100,000 for a Harvard MBA. Of course, I wouldn't want to go to Harvard for an MBA, but it is what it is. Measure what matters. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these books like this, Leading Change. What's our problem? Self-help for societies. Great at Work. There's a lot of those books like that. Satya Nadella wrote a book like that too. So anyway, is there anybody online? It's getting dark. It wasn't dark when I started. Let me go see. Wow, nobody's online. Wow. Nobody's online. Relax. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So we're going to start learning Zig. And the name for that emote is interesting. Which one? The crying kitchen? Bible. Okay, Beta Wolf. Well, it's time for me to go too, because I've got to finish up with some stuff and get ready for tomorrow and start of work. So hope everyone had a good time, learned something. I think that's the important thing. It's not important for me to knock it out of the park every damn day, but it's important for me to educate and teach people, and maybe you learn something you didn't know before. And so, come back on Tuesday. We'll be here. My daughter also has a concert that night, so I may end up cutting it a little short. But, if you have anything, join our Slack, join our Discord. Bang. Discord. You can go check that out. If you want to join our Slack, send me a DM and I'll get you on there, because Slack doesn't have the ability to do things like auto invite people. So cool. Hope everyone has a good night. Take care, and we'll talk to you all very, very soon. All right. Bye, y'all. Later.